is think about all the good stuff that we found out about those 12 basic functions. We want to be able to recognize the graphs of the 12 basic functions. Like I said before, really the only one that causes people any trouble as far as recognition is sine and cosine. Just remember, sine starts at 0, 0, cosine starts at 0, 1. But then once you do that, the rest of this kind of follows visually once you get those visual pieces in there. So that's what the day and a half were spent with going over all this, because that's what you have to do. You have to understand what do they look like and think your way through it. Because the questions they're going to ask us, they're not really math questions. I mean, they are, but they're not. It's not, let's do some calculations. It's this. 9 of the functions have the domain, which is the set of all real numbers. Which 3 don't? So go ahead and scan your stuff right now and find me one of those 12 basic functions that does not have a domain of all real numbers.
Natural log.
Natural log. Can't do negatives. You remember why, right? Natural log is logarithm base e. And you're probably used to a y being here instead of an x. And if we snail shell that, it says e to the x equals y. There's no way for us to get a negative out of that. Okay? Square root function, absolutely, we can't use the negatives in there. One other one that we have to restrict. Well, let me give you a hint. Just like with square roots, we can't put all numbers in. There is division taking place. And when there's division, we can't divide by what? 0. So which of those functions uses division? A reciprocal function. So basically you have to think any even root stuff, not going to work. Any division by 0, not going to work. Natural log, we're a little rusty on it, but yeah, we can see raising e to some power, you're not going to get a negative on that. B says one of the functions has the domain, the set of all reals except 0. Which function is it? And why is it 0 in the domain? We just answered this. Which one is it? The reciprocal. And why not 0 in the domain? Can't divide by 0. Not divide by 0. C says which 2 functions have no negative numbers in their domain? And of these 2, which one is defined at 0? So let's start first with the 2 functions that do not have negatives. Yeah, our square root and our natural log. I mean, that was the domain restriction that we talked about up there. Of those 2, which one could you use 0 for? Square root function. Yeah, would just give us 0 back, but it is in its domain. No negatives, but 0 is okay in the square root function. Continuity. Only 2 of the 12 functions do have points of discontinuity. Which 2? Which 2 graphs would you have to lift your pencil up to graph? Definitely the greatest integer function. Yep. And it says, are these points in the domain of the function? Well, we've already discussed this. What number is out of here? 0. Yeah, it's asymptote. So x equals 0 is, in fact, a vertical asymptote. Greatest integer function. Is there any way we could fill in a hole and make that a nice continuous? Not a chance. This is just discontinuous. That's all we can say about it. We've got this infinite discontinuity that we talked about with our vertical asymptote over here. This is just flat out, it's discontinuous. There's breaks, jumps all over the thing, so no way we can do that. Example 3. 3 of the 12 functions are bounded, which of course means they're bounded both above and below. Which 3? Which one? Logistic function? So f of x equals 1 over 1 plus e to the x. What else? Cosine? And if cosine of x is going to be bounded, what else is bounded? Sine. Only 3 of the 12 basic functions are bounded. Which 3? Got it. And you could write the names down too instead of writing the functions. I just think it's a good idea to get used to, especially this one, because that's one you're probably looking at and going, oh my gosh, how am I going to memorize that piece? Example 4 says 3 of the 12 basic functions are even. Which ones? Which one? Squared. Cosine? Absolute value. Those are our 3. Okay. That's a good stopping place. So you can see that it's just so important that we can visualize these. I do have a couple of things that I have to talk to you about before I give you the assignment. First of all, the respect retreat is going to be coming up, and we're trying to plan around that. Raise your hand if you have to go to the respect retreat because you are going to be a leader of some sort. Six people, 7 people. Because again, whatever one of us does, the rest of us have to do too. So thank you for letting me know about that. Secondly, I'm going to remind you again about registering for the Accuplacer. And you know what? If I don't hear from her today, I'm going to scan this in myself. She was going to make a document for you to show you how to do this. But you have to have applied to Pine Tech. And then you need your STAR ID because you're going to go in under quick links on the Elk River High School website. And you are going to, it says Accuplacer test. You're going to register for the Accuplacer. Those of you that work on a 22 on the ACT or higher will kind of clip you out of having to take the Accuplacer. And if you already took the Accuplacer because you're in like Spanish or something like that where you had to do that, you're already in the system. As long as you had a 22 or better on the math portion of the test. So they may have just had you take the reading. Like I said, if I don't hear from her today, I'm going to go ahead and scan this in for you so you can just follow the directions. It is, unfortunately, November 21st, and that is the only day they are going to offer it. So if you want college credit and you have not received a 22 or higher on the ACT, you're going to have to come in that Thanksgiving week on Monday. And you have to be there from noon until 6. And it's the only time they're going to offer the Accuplacer this year. Last year they had to do it 2 or 3 times because the computers crashed. And they said they're not going to do that again. A 22 on the math. Yeah, you had to receive, I'll double check here. Yep, a 22 or higher on the math portion of the ACT in order to kind of flip out of it. You know what, I'll just copy all that off too when I put that in here so you'll have that. But it's a quick link underneath the calendar on the Elk River High School website. And that's where you're going to register for the Accuplacer. Okay. This assignment will not take you very long at all because it's the examples that I just went through with you, it's the exact same type. where they're saying, okay, which of these will do this? So 1 through 28.
Here's my assignment.
Oh, thank you.
All right, why am I not able to turn my quarter off? There it is.